I've made a bit of progress. I've added in the white around her face because it's not white, it's cream. There's quite a lot of it around her eyes and a little delicate white and bits of fur in her ears. Bits of cream. And some of it will only show when I've added more of the ginger. I'm going to try not to add too much of anything because I did want to preserve the blowout, but I do also want to get that look in her face, that look in her eyes and her little nose. Those are all the important things to me, so that's what I'm going to focus on. So now I've got some burnt sienna on my brush. It's not coming off. Okay, let's try again. And the same mixture that I used for doing the painting. And I'm just going to kind of highlight her stump here. Although you don't really see it because it's kind of buried in her fur. It's just, I mean, I know it's there, and when I stroke her, you know, I stroke around it because I'm always afraid that if I touch it I might hurt her. But if I don't look where I'm going, and she's just in my arms and I'm just stroking, it's very easy to accidentally touch it. So and she's never complained, but that doesn't mean anything. I just don't know what she feels. So I'm putting the stripes in, and I'm going to make them, you know, shade them downwards to show the fur, and then leave the bits in between the lighter color, because it's not like there's just suddenly a whole bunch of light fur. It's a mixture. Mixture of stripes and spots, and you know, every hair contributes to the overall design, but I can't paint some individual hairs, obviously. That's why I thought a ring paw would be the answer. So after I've put down the initial bit of paint, I haven't added more paint to my brush, but then I just drag it out softly so that it gets lighter and lighter away from the main stripe and just blends into the rest of it. So I'm hoping that will give a nice effect. And something close to what she looks like. But again, I don't want to completely delete this ring paw blowout, because over there's some little cells and they look quite pretty. What I'm going to really try to make similar to her is I'm going to use the photograph and the videos and hold them in my hand while I'm trying to add in the little bits on her nose, which is so tiny and sweet. And it's little ginger bits and then pink right in the end, and then it goes up into these creamy bits. And then she's got these white bits under her eyes, which are not as big as they are right now, but that's just how it starts out. Really like shadows under her eyes and on the tops of her eyes as well. And then these markings here, which my other cat also has, the same markings but in grey, over her, just over the nose and in the forehead. So interesting. And also what I've noticed in both of them is that within these stripes, when they stretch out, they cast some kind of like swirly patterns, and they're not immediately obvious when you just see them lying down. But when they stretch out, you see all these other interesting patterns. There's my beautiful girl. Look at those beautiful eyes. Look at those sweet, sweet eyes. I love that little face. There her stump is tucked underneath her. But there you can see some of the spots on her tummy, but she's not spread out enough. And the creamy bits in her tail. My beautiful ginger girl. After that little excursion, I hope you can see the similarities to her here. So I've managed to drag the burnt sienna down and still preserve the blowout there in the creamy parts. And now I've got some green, which I'm going to use, very pale olivey green, which I'm going to use in her eyes. And then over that I might put some yellow, because like I said, her eyes are such a mixture. They're definitely not this light olive green that I'm using. You probably won't see the contrast until I put her pupils in, which, like, the one is just going that way and the other one's going that way. But bearing in mind, cats' pupils are not round like ours. They're oval and they're kind of lengthwise, especially during the day when they're not open very wide, like little slits. So there, I think she's starting to come along. Now I've got to mix the yellow. And I should let it dry a little bit. So they feel dry to the touch. So now I'll put this little layer of yellow over. Because they are very unique colour. They're different to my other cat's eyes. And I don't know, I always assumed that they were green, but they're not. They're definitely a yellowy green, more of a yellow than a green. So I'll see what happens once I put the black in. It might mix with the yellow, but I'm just going to put another little layer of green. I think her eyes and her nose are her most important features. She's also got these distinct markings on her nose that are different to Katie. I'm going to have to look at the photo again. I'm getting closer to the end result. Yeah, I smudged her pupils a bit, but I got the right eye colour, greeny yellow colour there. And I put in all the markings on her face, and to make them more natural, I just smudged the paint a bit, because they're not distinct. Some of them are, but some of them just kind of blur into each other. Like she has these distinct darker markings around her nose, and then she's got light there, and then she's got dark around the tip. And then she's got this creamy colour around her mouth. And then, of course, the whiskers are white. And so now the tail, I'm just putting this mixture of gold and burnt sienna in, because it's the white that I have is just too white. And again, I mean, she does have quite a lot of light in her, but maybe I'll mix it with some of this. But also mix some of it in there. Here I've dragged the fur down, and I have to fix up those stripes as well. So I've made her ears a bit smaller. I'm using it's called a Dela and Rani size 2 round brush, and that helped me just to do the outlines of her eyes, which are very distinctly black, and the other little small details. So my last attempt to fix the eyes. This brush has been good for the details, I must say, and it's also been good for, because it's quite hard, the bristles are hard, it's been good for just making more of a furry look. But in places I did have to smudge the paint with my finger, which is not a good idea if you're allergic to the Pebeo Pori medium, which I clearly am, because I'm now itching like a maniac. And I just need to put back a little bit of this eyeliner. I'm going to leave that one just like that. Although, I mean, her eyes do go darker down. But such a fine line. That's good enough. And I do need some more dark around her neck, but my paint has dried up, so I'm going to have to quickly mix some, but I'll take a photo of that in the end. I think that looks like her. So I've added some more details, and I'll explain them now. Here she has a little black marking on the side of her nose, just on the one side. I don't know if it's an injury, if it's a birthmark, or what it is, but it's just a little black mark there. And the rest, she's got just the dark shading around her nose. And then her eyes are very clearly outlined in black, especially in the corners. But on the top, she's the white or creamy fur seems to like sort of cover the top of her eye, so you don't see the dark as much. So I need to put a bit more there, I think. And then these markings are very clear, very distinct. The ginger there, and I need to put some more there, and then the cream in between. And then I decided to add a bit of gold just around her, just to distinguish her from the background, just so she is lying on a sort of gold coloured blanket. And that's about it. I think those are the details, all the details that I need to put in. And so I'll just do those little ginger markings now, since I have so much ginger paint in my I intended to put out a little bit, and of course a whole bunch squirted out, so it just kind of comes like at an angle there, like that. And then the markings on either side of the eye, and these go up. And just as in my cat, these are dark markings. On her, they're ginger. And then she's got this ginger collar and quite a bit of dark patches when she's sitting like this. When she opens up, then you see there's light under there as well. And I think I got her eyes right. Maybe a bit more cream, like I said, above her eyes. And this brush is really just the perfect brush for doing these hairy bits. And maybe I could have used it all over her body, but that would have been a very long and painstaking process. And just like that. And then under her eyes as well, she's got the cream. All the way up to that line. So, smudging it again so that it's not so stark. That's a labour of love for my kitties. And if anyone else loves their cat, try painting them. It is quite an experience. You think you know your cat so well, and you know every marking, because especially her, she sits in my lap every day. She feeds in my lap. She will not eat unless I put the food on my lap. And I'm not sure if it's because she doesn't see very well, but I have to keep pushing, especially if it's soft food, I have to push it into the center of the bowl with a spoon, because otherwise she just doesn't seem to see it. I don't know how she was managing outside. Well, even when she was outside, I was feeding her on my lap every day. But now that she's in here, she has no desire to go outside again, and that's fine with me. I feel happier having her here. I just don't feel she could fend for herself anymore outside. Anyway, that is my painting. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was interesting. Please like and comment and let me know what you think. Bye for now.